All right, so this is going to be just a kind of review of how to add windows and also doors cleanly on your plan, and also what to do if you have a curved wall, which I'll kind of talk through in a minute. Um, if you were not in class or you just need a refresher, what we did is we exported our CAD model into SketchUp, and it's kind of at its what's called low detail. It's kind of its most basic line weights or line outlines. That's going to help us a lot as we draw this. So first you want to do is be on the correct drawing layer. So we've created, you can see some of the tags that we've made here. We have walls, north, south, east, and west. We also have furniture, floors, and ceiling up here that we've added. Some of these other ones are what we're seeing here from the CAD, the tags. So the tags are the same thing as basically layers in CAD. All right, so I'm going to go to my walls north, and I'm going to get the rectangle tool. And oops, hold on over here. And I'm going to start with pretty much this corner here. In this case, I'm just going to pretend this is my great room and this is all I'm modeling. So really don't need to do the whole house, but if you wanted to, you could go all the way over to here. All right, so there we go. Now we're going to assume that ceilings are 10 feet high. So we're going to pull it up to 10 feet. Now, note that I still have my drawing kind of underneath here. So if I want to see where the location of that window is, I can actually go over here and turn on the X-ray. So this is X-ray mode here, so I can kind of see it. You can also go into your CAD model and measure from the corner of the room where's that window. So whichever works best for your brain. Then you're going to get your tape measure. So in case you went into your CAD and you measured, and it's in this case it's okay, we're not in inches. Great. Hang on. If you're like me with a brand new SketchUp install and you need to switch it to inches, what you're going to do is go Window, Model Info, Units, and then pick Architectural. Then we're in feet and inches again. It defaults to metric because that's what most of the world does. All right, so if you are getting the math from your your CAD, you're going to type it in here. In my case, I can kind of pull it over here, and this is my opening for my window. It's a 3-foot window. So once I see this kind of through the X-ray, I can turn the X-ray off up here. And then, so in most living rooms and houses and things like that, your window starts about 2 feet off of the finished floor, like the carpet or the wood floor. So you're going to write 2 feet. Then you've got to have at least a foot of like the header up above it, so there's enough basically wood kind of encasing around the window so your wall is stable. So you can write 1 foot or 2 foot, whatever you kind of think, but you're going to keep this. So let's see here, that's 8 feet. The other thing to pay attention to is your doors are at 7 feet. So depending on how you're designing your house, if you want all your windows to line up with your door openings, then your window is only going to be 7 feet tall. So I'll use that as a reference now. So again, some of us have some pretty tall walls in our houses, but now to cut out the window here, what you're going to do again is take the rectangle tool, start in one corner, pull it over to here, and then you're just going to push it through. And usually what I do is I try to push and kind of hit that back edge, and then that opens it straight up for me. All right, so that's the simple, most straightforward way to kind of get your windows in there nice and cleanly. Now you're going to go online and you're going to find a window block on the SketchUp warehouse that hopefully is a 3-foot wide by, let's see, how tall is this guy? 5-foot window. That's a pretty standard size. So try to keep it to a full foot or a 1.5 feet. So basically go in foot increments or 6 inches. So like 1'6", 2'6". And that's going to be like standard sizes that they're going to come in. So that's your windows. Also, when you're looking for a model, look for one that has molding all around it already. Maybe has a sill too, because that's the interior of the window. The more real world details you can get on it, the better. Don't worry if the wood trim is not a color you want. We can always repaint it, especially if the window is a dynamic block. It's going to have some options for us to pretty easily edit all the color in there too. All right, so the next thing we want to deal with is some folks have curved walls this year. So I'm going to do a demo in just a second of what this guy should look like. This is kind of a rough version of it for now. I'm going to say Control C. Students this semester who have things like this, and usually every semester someone tries like a curved wall or some sort of funky angles and shapes, which isn't going to always work well with the regular windows. If you have a flat, like, flat kind of or perpendicular or vertical surface, sorry, then it'll work okay. But on a curved surface, it's really hard to kind of draw this shape along the curve and make sure everything's actually connecting and on the face of this curve. So this is a kind of a rough version I did earlier. One of the things I want to talk about is in the real world, you're probably going to have actually rectangular shapes here, and they're each going to be segmented. So there'll be like a segment here and a segment there, and they'll basically just very subtly rotate that rectangle so that it becomes, from everybody looking at it, a curve, like that's meeting and enclosing this curved wall. Because curved glass itself is going to be very expensive. Obviously they can do it, it can be custom made, but in the real world, chances are you're going to encounter instead of rectangles, and they're just going to kind of slightly rotate and angle them to come around that curve on what would be like the ledge of the curved wall here. It's really hard to get that precision in SketchUp, because then when we take it in Enscape, there's going to be a lot of sunlight and other things kind of bleeding through the cracks of that kind of way to build it. So here's kind of a sort of a shortcut, but also a way to kind of have this be more like locked up in your model so you don't have sunlight pouring through in weird spots. So I'm going to kind of just rough it in, but if you're going to have a curved wall like this, here's maybe the start of one edge of the window, here's maybe the other one right there. All right, so then you're going to pull up your walls. So we're going to pull these up to, I'm going to say 9 feet in this model, and then 9 feet over here. Now the ledge that this window sits on, in our example in class, the student is doing it along what's actually a kitchen wall. So it's going to be above the 2 feet line. Kitchen cabinets, the top edge of your countertop is 3 feet, so 36 inches. We're going to go a little bit above that, 3.5 feet, which is 42 inches. So I'm going to pull this up 42 inches. All right, then what we want to do is enclose the top here to make sure that this the model has a header to the window, basically the kind of the studs in the wall that's beyond this, that's helping support the structure of this wall. There's going to be wall up at the top. So what we're going to do is, instead of trying to get this curve just right, we're actually going to copy these curved lines down here and use them instead. So I'm going to click on this one and say Control C and then Control V over here. Then I'm going to move this line now to the top here and see how it connects right up. So yay. All right, so now we're going to click this one, Control C, put it over here, Control V. I'm going to then, let's see, move it over from this edge to this edge. And the way to close this up now is actually to draw a line here and see how it just like understood that now it's a solid object. Now what you can do is pull this part down. I'm going to double check the math on this again. I think we have, since we're coming up 3 feet, we're going up 5 feet. All right, we're probably going to go up 4 feet. So I'm just going to put a little kind of mark here just so I know where to stop it. All right, maybe 4.5. Let's try this. That looks a little short. 4.5 feet. Okay, about there. All right, so now what we're going to do is that same line that's highlighted, I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste, but now I'm going to kind of bring it over here, and I'm going to put it right there on that edge. So that's kind of the bottom of this window. So pivot around. Now we're going to do the same thing with this line right here. I need actually to make a connecting point here on this side of the wall. So I'm going to draw this over, and you want to make sure, see how it's pink there? That means it's parallel. So we want that line there. That's good. I'm also going to draw one over here because it's going to help kind of frame this box up. So you got to make sure it's the pink. All right, so we got that. All right, so this line is highlighted now. So I'm going to say Control C, Control V, put it out here somewhere. And now I'm going to connect it to that bottom edge right there. Now, so far it hasn't drawn itself in, partly because I still need to kind of draw some of these edges in for it. So let's see if it gets it that way. Maybe over here. Not quite. All right, let's see maybe if we can get it to pull in like that way. Nope. All right. So what we're going to do is, next thing is bring down this part. So let me shimmy in here. Right here, we're going to pull this down to there. And we should be pretty good to go. Now, what it did is it kind of like made it hollow on the top. But again, if we draw over there, now it's a solid surface. Don't know if I've explained this to folks in class yet, but this, see how it's white, but then it goes gray? We need to click on the gray and say reverse faces. So it's all kind of on the same kind of, basically it's the inside out of the square. So we'll explain it in class more, not in this video. All right, I'm going to do it to this guy here. So you want to make sure everything's on this white face. Now, sometimes you can erase this line and it very nicely stays together. This time it didn't. So we're going to hit Control Z there. We're going to see if we can get it over here. Nope, Control Z. Okay, so what's going to happen? So when I did this earlier, this one worked okay for me. See how it's all nice, a smooth, continuous surface? For whatever reason, this part is a little fussy. So when we go to render, you're going to instead right click and say hide line. And that way it looks like it's a continuous surface. There's no break. All right, so here's the crazy thing. It's working on the right side this time, or it worked on the left side, but not the right for there. Okay, so then we want to use the offset tool to get like a ledge for this window. So that's right here. I'm going to go here. I'm going to say 2 inches, and I got to check that I'm on, make sure you're on the face. So I think we're good there, 2 inches there. I don't think if that one is, because you can see how dark black that is. So I don't think that's right on the face. It's hard to tell. Maybe. All right, let's see. Do we have a separate shape in here? No. All right, so that guy didn't work. So we're going to click on that. This one is on the face. See how it's divvied up now where there's this side and there's that side. So I'm going to instead offset this line here. And we're going to say like, I think 3 inches. Yep. Okay, there we go. All right, so that's going to be our first kind of frame that we're putting in. I'm going to bring that up, say 1 inch maybe. All right. You're going to do this all the way around this window. So I'm going to pause and then show you what that looks like. This frame here is a little bit trickier to do on the left and the right than I realized on a curved wall. So what you're going to do is take your measuring tape tool, bring this line out here 1 inch. So I'm just going to type 1 inch. And then I'm going to draw right across here, making this little like wedge. And then this I'm going to pull up to the top of my, like the inside frame of my window. All right, so let's get that up there. All right, so I'm just finishing up the right side of this window now. And now we're going to kind of flip it upside down a little bit and get into this corner and draw what will be the frame on the top. All right, so basically what we have to do is our offset again tool. So but now we're offsetting these top lines here. So I'm going to bring it 1 to here. Let's see, hold on, let me get it right there. All right, let's just double check that we're pretty much on the line. Yeah, we are. Awesome. Okay, and now we're going to offset this line here. So click out to here, get the offset again. This line is now getting offset right to there. All right, so now that's the top frame of our window. This now comes down 1 inch. And now we have a pretty decent kind of frame all the way around of our window. Let me just repaint it quick now so you can kind of see this a little better. So let's get some metal. Just use the silver right now just so you can see it. All right, so we're gonna paint in here. It would be, let's see, all of these edges here. So we're gonna paint here, here, here. Let's get over to the corners. Some of these are connected, so they're sort of painting in it for me. All right, and then we're gonna paint here and over to the left and right here. Okay, so now we've got what we can see is like the frame of the window. Let me get rid of this guy behind us just so it's not distracting us. So far, next is putting in the glass panes. All right, so same idea. We're gonna offset now from this frame here. Glass can be made really thin, but in this house, you probably want it like double painted too, just for some like holding the heat of your house. So what I'm going to do is, again, I'm offsetting from this line here and then pulling it in, and I'm only going to pull it in a 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to, and that one right there, bring it over. I think we've got 2 inches there. Yes. Okay. All right. Actually, let me try that again. It said 1.5 inches. All right, so what I'm doing is the offsetting is being a pain, but we're clicking right here, and then I'm going to offset 1.5 inches. Yes. Okay, good. All right, now if I pull this up, it's the metal texture. I don't want that yet. I do want the bottom of this to be the metal texture, so I'm gonna to make a pane of glass that's gonna sit kind of on this frame here. What you want to do actually is get this shape right here and hit Control C to copy because it's going to be the base of my glass. Then you're going to hit Control V over here. Now, this is kind of a one whole shape here, and it's still the metal. So I want instead painted in my glass material here. So there you can see now it's clear glass. Now, the other thing we need though are segments in this glass. So there are kind of some natural break points along this curve. And I'm just going to kind of draw them in, sort of trace them in as I go. And then what you're going to do is pull each segment up the height of your pane of glass. So in my case, it's 4'6". And then each one is going to be pulled up so that you have all these segments. Now, before we pull this into our wall, we want to make this a component because it's just going to make our life easier moving this around. So click the whole thing, say edit, make component. We'll call this glass or curved windows. Oh, there we go. Okay. Say create. And now the insert point for this is this bottom corner right here. And then we're pulling this back kind of on through into our curved wall and going right there. All right. And now we've got a fairly realistic curved glass in a curved wall. And that way it has a frame to it. So it has this frame kind of on the ledge there. And it's also got these kind of divisions of the glass, which again will be real world kind of things. They'll use silicon to attach them, but that's how they'll get them in there. All right. So, like I said, there's a little bit of wonkiness to this, a little bit of stuff you have to kind of figure out on your own. But the main thing is it's not that hard actually to build your own custom windows. You just have to remember to give yourself some framing around it, what's holding the glass in place, and also kind of how the math of this glass will work in the real world in terms of being shipped and installed in your wall.